Ideologies. My name is Alan Steinfeld, and this program is about the search for understanding consciousness. And we have so many tools, but no tool, I feel, is more immediate than who and what we're talking about today with Glynis McCants. She is an incredible numerologist, world famous numerologist. You've probably seen her on George Noory's Coast to Coast. She's going to be at the Conscious Life Expo this weekend in LA at the LAX Hilton. That is February 9th to the 12th. And Glynis and so many other amazing people, including George Noory, will be there. But a little bit more about Glynis. She has been doing numerology for over 27 years. She uses the Pythagorean number system, which I want to go over with you. You've given 15,000 readings. She has a best-selling book called Love by the Numbers. You've been on all the major shows. You even were an advisor to Jim Carrey's film. I want to talk to you about that. I think he's amazing. And it's like you've understood a map to reality. So how can, I know it's a very basic question, but how can numbers really tell us about, because they seem so arbitrary. I mean, the dates, the calendar's arbitrary, maybe are named, maybe they're not, but talk about how they work.
Well, let me just say, for starters, that numerology itself is a science of numbers. It's 2,500 years old. Pythagoras, it's the number system that I use because I find it to be incredibly accurate. But the belief is that everything in this universe has vibration. So that's true about people. It's true about a building. It's true about your home. Even when you name, like when you write a book, that book has vibration. So what I do is I look at those basic numbers. The basic numbers are 1 through 9. Then we have some master numbers as well. But when you go to the simplicity that 1 is considered the beginning in numerology, and 9 is considered the number of selflessness. So that's like saying 1 is self and 9 is selfless, but it takes time to get there. So how it works, there are 3 numbers in your name, 3 numbers in your birthday. Those 6 numbers give me a blueprint of who you are. And actually, Alan, I do have your numbers. So since you and I've never talked, I'd love to tell you a little bit about you and what I see.
Yes. Yeah, tell me about how you get 3 numbers from a name, and tell me everything, because I want to hear a map, and we'll talk about 2024 being the year of the dragon, and so much more about 2024 that seems very positive in a way. So okay,
there's a lot going on in that. So what happens is you use the Pythagorean number system, and if anyone were to Google, they could Google that and they'd see those basic numbers. Like each letter has a number attached to it in numerology. So when I break down, like say your name, Alan Steinfeld, I'm getting energy. So some people in numerology feel like you can only get those 3 numbers from the birth certificate name. I disagree. The birth certificate name does give you your destiny number. It's a number that really matters of where you're headed. But that what you put out there, when you introduce yourself, Alan, you're putting out vibration. So I work with the name you're most known by, right? So let me tell you what I see in just your name. Your soul number.
Well, I just want to ask you one question, because middle name is Michael.
Doesn't matter in this. Does not matter.
Okay, go ahead.
What I'm saying is it's what you go by today that matters most. Okay. That's it. And the birth certificate name gives you a destiny. That's separate to what we're doing.
Okay.
But I'm saying the name you go by gives you a soul number 3. What does that tell me about you? It means you love good conversation. You have a sense of humor. Like you're the first, if it's funny, you're the first to laugh. And I will bet you crack jokes. Like if it gets too heavy, you're like, nah, we got to make this fun. We got to find a way.
Right. That is so right. I mean,
that's your soul. So that tells me your soul's actually fulfilled when you're in that situation. You know, when you communicate and you feel like you've actually learned something from someone else, that's appealing to you. You know, there's no ego to bruise for you. You're like, no, I want everyone to be excellent. I want the cream of the crop to come into my world, right? Yes. And then you have a 2 personality number from your name. That's your intuitive voice. You know, when you trust your gut instinct, it does not fail you. When you second guess yourself, that's a problem. And that's coming from the number 2. It's also the part of you that would say, I'm a lover, not a fighter, meaning you get tired of the fight. It's like, I'm not looking for the anger. People full of hate, you don't want them around you again. It's like, get lost, find somewhere else to be. You're always looking for like a higher frequency. So you love vibration, but it is the number 2. Love, peace, harmony.
But if I was to get another number like 4 or 5, that would be a whole different reading, you would
Of course. And I've only given you 2 of your 6.
Okay,
So
yeah,
keep learning about
going,
you.
keep going.
There's more to you than that. Then you have a 5 power name number. So that just means it's the strength of that name. 5 means digging for truth. You can't stand being in the dark. I want to know what really happened. Maybe there's a drama out there or some crazy report. You're like, nope, that doesn't ring true to me. And then you're like, I'm going to find out what is. I wrote
this book about UFOs. It's all about what's really true.
Well, Alan, that's who you are. But let me tell you this. If you didn't have these numbers, you wouldn't have the ability to have the breakthroughs. That's what you need to understand. A lot of people, people can be intrigued by UFOs. So what? No, you're the guy who finds the person who knows something, right?
Right.
That's what you do. And it makes you so happy. This is the part of your life that brings you joy. Now, your birth numbers, here we go. Born the 22nd, that is a master number. So I say, to keep it simple, if you're born the 11th or the 22nd, you are here to master your life in some way. Like you were never going to just be kicking back. Oh, I retire. I don't care anymore. That's not you. With the 22, you're like, what else do I need to learn? What else is going on? And by the way, every time we got rid of all those phones, we found one that we didn't get rid of. Hold on.
That's okay.
Every time you learn something new, you get so excited, and what's great, you're generous about it. It's like, now I've learned this information, I'm going to pass it on to others. That is where your book comes in, by the way. That is correct.
It's also about being an Aquarius has those kind of characteristics too.
Yeah, well, it's not uncommon that if we look at our charts, our astrology and numerology, you should find a blend of numbers that resonate. They should not be in major conflict. That wouldn't make sense. But you know what that goes to, Alan? That's called interpretation. Like, I'm an excellent interpreter of the science of numbers. Someone else can have the same chart and not hit on everything I'm seeing. Okay. Same with astrology.
So far, you've been really right on. You really have. I mean,
thank you. Here's what happens too. Ultimately, this is interesting to me about you. Your innate life path. This tells me, especially 4-8, those are the people in life you have to feel it was your decision. So you tend to hit your head before you learn. You're like, right? You're like, when someone tries to tell you, you're like, no, back off. I'm going to make my decision. I'll decide. So this tells me that in your life, you've had some stuff come up for you that was not easy. You've had challenges that you had to overcome. And I think what that's done for you, Alan, is it helps you have more compassion for other people. Like, you understand what they're going through. That's where it is. And the other thing about 8 is making an effort. You know how some people just don't try anymore? You're not that guy. You're like, why not look good if you can? Why not go to a nice place, having a good dinner, listen to some great music? You have such an appreciation of the effort. If you go to a hotel and it's beautifully done, you're going to notice that. Alan, you'll notice all the details. And if you have friendships, someone who went out of their way for you, you're the guy who's going to make sure they know how grateful you are. This is coming from your birth numbers. Now, for integrity's sake, with your 4, if someone's a liar, it's over for you. You're like, you get to lie to me once, because
you mean the 22 as a 4. You're saying the 22.
Yes, I'm saying 2 + 2, you go 22/4.
Right.
Always, because anyone who's not studying those basic numbers, they're missing something. You have to look at that too. And by the way, when you live in your master number 22, like this thing you're doing right now, and when you wrote your book, that is your high frequency master number. But as a person, you live in 4 energy, 22/4. And 4 is, again, someone's dishonest. If they tell you the truth to your face, you're good. You'll figure it out. But if it's behind your back and you find out later, it's best for you to let them go, because your mind won't let it go. Your brain will keep going, wow, That guy
Mm.
lied to me. Not
Right.
okay. And
Right.
then month and day reduced one digit in your case is a 5. So this is back to that detective stuff we just talked about. You see?
Mm.
And even this event, what we're about to do, Conscious Life Expo, the never dull moment, the fun of who you might meet. Like you are the guy that if you meet people who know something you don't, you're thrilled. Tell me what I don't know,
That's
right?
why I go to these things, to find out what I don't know. Exactly.
Right? Exactly.
Yes.
Whereas other people get jaded. They're like, oh, no, I know. They act like they know everything, which is not possible. And I think, Alan, you'll agree with this. The more you know, the less you know. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So do you see how your chart is complicated? And by the way, travel should be a part of your chart because double 5 means when you fly somewhere or go somewhere, you can't wait for the new adventure. Yeah.
You're good. I mean, I knew you were good because George likes you, but because but you, in the personal reading, it's perfect. I mean, you really, yeah, you're picking out all my.
I'm going to tell you something else. Did you say the book comes out this year? Is it now? Was it
No,
just
it
released?
came out. It came. I'm writing another book that I do
Are
want.
you writing it right now?
Yes, I am. Yes,
Perfect. So let me tell you why it's perfect. There's a
yes.
thing called personal year cycle. So example, 2024, when you add that up, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4 is 8. You add it to it's called an attitude number. Your attitude number is 5. 8 plus 5 is 13. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 is the time to write. You are loaded with information. It's like a teapot with a bunch of water. You want to put it in a ton of cups. It's like, I got
Yes.
more stuff now. So
Yes.
you're writing this. You could not pick a better year to write as you are right now, this year.
Well, that's why I just need a quiet place somewhere with no one
Yes.
around to really focus. Yes.
Yes. But I'm telling you, it should flow through you. It should go very well for you because it just means this new knowledge. Are these updates on this book? Tell me what it is. Give me a sense of that book.
It's sort of like beyond contact. Making contact is the initial kind of opening. But what do you say after you say hello? What's the real secrets that are going on with this UFO phenomena? I'm not
That's
saying
good.
I know it, but I survey a lot of people and kind of pull it together with my own thesis. So
Right. But that's just it. You know, some people who won't write a book, they'll say, well, why would someone care what I would write? And I laugh and go, there are 8 billion people on the planet. You don't think there might be an audience that's interested in what you offer? Like with
well,
you already know it's true. And by the way,
yes.
you would burst if you didn't share the information. You'd be
No,
very
I
unhappy.
love sharing the information. I'm going to the expo to talk about this book and the phenomena as it's unfolding and what's going to happen, maybe with your help in this year.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about that. There was something else exciting for you.
Yes.
And I'm going to discuss what is 2024. Well,
Yes.
as I said, it's the number 8. Well, because you happen to be an 8 life path, this is considered your year. Like, in other words, whenever our life path is the same as the world number, it's a good sign for us.
Oh.
It means good things can happen. The
Oh,
other thing about 8, though, it's to figure out money. You know, that's part of the lesson of an 8. There's 2 types. One, it can slip through their fingers, or
right.
2, they keep it in the bank because they're afraid they won't have it. So where would you say you are when it comes to your prosperity?
I would say a little bit of both. But I am trying to save, so it's like, but I know that both those feelings. I really do.
And that's very much a part of you. And now
Yeah.
I'm going to invite your people to just say, if they go to numberslady.com, click on that, my Facebook. I have a beautiful 15-minute affirmation for prosperity. I'm going to send you a copy. Alan, I'm going to send you one personally. But if they go to Numbers Lady and they click on my Facebook, there is a 15-minute affirmation. They just have to scroll down. They'll see it.
But aren't you saying that's sort of like what I am?
It's one of your lessons. It's one of your lessons. You have to find peace with prosperity. You have to find a way that is like the ocean. It comes and it goes. Instead of sometimes I'm doing great. Other times, oh no, I'm in trouble. What happened to my money? That's one of your lessons. The other thing about you, and I think this part's funny,
Yeah.
See, the three in you can be very charming. You know, like I said, when we first talked about, you kind of have an actor's look. The three can put on a show if they have to, right?
Mhm.
You can be in a lot of pain, but you'll turn on the charm. If you have an audience, you can do that.
Right, right, right.
But the 4 and the 8 energy of you is blunt. You're very honest. So there are times, like in your friendships or personal life, you've said things that were so direct that they couldn't even handle it. You know, that phrase, you can't handle the truth. I
Right.
know you come up against that in your life. And I
Yeah.
know that from your birth date numbers.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. So my intersection is to really take advantage of the 2024 number, the 8 number, and go for as much as I can here.
You can, because what it's like talking to you is saying, look, you're an 8 life path. It's the world number 8. What do you want to accomplish? What's your goal? And don't forget, you happen to be in a personal year 4, and you're born on a 22/4 day. So do you see how it's kind of lining up for you? This is why you're feeling pretty optimistic. You know, there's a lot of people out there that are not, right? We have a lot of cynical, angry people out there too. Well, there's a good chance their numbers are not yours. See,
well, I'm always kind of optimistic, though, I have to say.
Yes, yes, but there's a shift for you now. I'm talking about you personally, not just
Yes,
to
you're
help
so
others.
right.
Like, no, this could be a turning point for me. You see the difference?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, you're so
So
right.
with that in mind, let's talk about 8. So what does it mean? Couple things about the 8 energy that people always have to understand. Yes, it's about prosperity, figuring out the money, but it's also about your health. Anything you're ignoring, you cannot ignore it in the cycle of 8. And so when I'm reading these big stories like Prince Charles suddenly has cancer, you know, Kate Middleton, we're hearing that she's had some sort of stomach surgery, and I don't think she's ever come out of the hospital yet. I think she's staying for a while. Whatever it is, this is not surprising to me. These big stories where you're like, what the heck is that? So my message is, don't ignore. Like, let's say your lower back hurts, but then you ignore it, and then your back goes out, and you.
So you're saying in the 8 year, or for 8s in general? You're saying because
I'm telling everybody, this applies to everyone out there. The number 8, as I said to you offline, numerology is an onion with layers. They have to pay attention to that layer because it's the world number. And here's what I thought was kind of cool. I said that to George Noory, the year of 8 is the year of politics. And what I meant is, when the 8 feels strongly about something, they will hold their position. Think about yourself. When you see injustice, how strongly do you want it fixed?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very much so. So here's what I said. What I didn't know at the time when I said it, because I said it months ago before it was 2024, I read an article and it explained that in the world this year, 4 billion people will be voting. This is the biggest in the history of the world. So think about that. If we talk about politics, you can see why it matters. Like, this is one of those, not just the United States, but it's consequential throughout the world. And my message to everyone is like, oh, there's nothing we can do. La, la, la. I so disagree. You know, I was raised to think that my vote is the deciding vote, right? That's how much I believe in a vote. And I'm saying to people, get off the couch, volunteer for who you believe in, make calls if you need to, get involved in some way instead of feeling helpless, right? That's huge this year.
So you're saying the 4 billion is because there's elections around the world that are going to really, and that's going to really change the politics of the whole planet.
That is correct. That means by year's end, our world could look completely different. That's why people have to go, because obviously we know about countries where people feel they don't have a voice, right? Like, look, if Putin says, I'm running for president, what are the chances that you really get to decide to vote for somebody else and that person can win? We already know that's not going to happen there. So that's what I mean about this overall voting. 4 billion people, and watch for the shift by year's end. And you know what it also means? It means you stop and say, who are we? What are we doing here? What matters most to us? Where are we the same versus where are we different?
Could you look at the candidates' numbers and figure out if they're going to win or lose? And
let me tell you how that works. What I've always done, and I'm very, very good at this, when it comes to once you have your candidate, you got the candidate and the vice president, then I run the numbers of those two versus each other. I've also done it because when I can look at it, I can see what personal year cycle they're in. What is the day energy? Who's it compatible to? It's really a wonderful thing, because you asked me, how often do I do numerology? I'm Glynis McCants, the numbers lady. If you go to Google and type the numbers lady, I'm it. You will see me, because I live it 24/7, and I have since 1995. This is my passion. But I always look at candidates, people are running, and I'm also gifted, and I think you have this gift also. Haven't you noticed, like, you'll watch someone talking and you'll say, that's not true. Like, you can feel it. And then other times they talk, you're like, nope, that resonates. Have you noticed that?
That's what
that is right.
Yeah.
That's what you do?
That's your
gift. Yeah. Well, you're getting that from your 3 and your 2, just so you know. Because the 3's listening and the 2 can feel it. And once you feel it, you can't shake it. And then eventually what you thought was correct.
But let me ask you, so you use the Pythagorean numerology system. What other systems are there? Because this seems to cover everything.
The Kabbalah deals in numbers. And I never know if I'm pronouncing this correctly. Children. There's children.
Chaldean. I think it's called Chaldean.
Right. So see, I don't pronounce that correctly. I'll tell you what's funny about that particular science. When I first started doing numerology, I looked at that, and because it runs numbers a little differently, and my reads were not. It was not the accuracy. So I would tell you, going back to how did I get started? People say, what the heck? It was a first love. My heart was broken, and I wasn't getting over it. I went to a woman they called a psychic, but she was a numerologist. Her tool was numerology. She said, you know what, Glynis, you're not missing him. He's not even good for you. You miss the mother and the sister, because they are very compatible to you in numerology. Well, this is after 2 years of me being in pain. When she said that, it made sense to me. And I am still friends with his mother to this day. So, wow, right? But that's what this was. I thought, okay, I'm going to study this, because I didn't know this would be my calling. But I would say to you, numerology was looking for a voice, because if you see my work, yes, it has blown up quite a bit since then. There's a lot of people that are doing numerology now. But when I started, there was not. And there were books written. There were some good books out there, but there were also that were incredibly general. They say, you're fat, you're thin, you're short, you're tall, you're moody, you're happy. I'm like, what is this? What is this? And then I did the research. I spent 13 years. I was doing reads on people. And then I noticed some unique things and thought, you know what? I'm going to write a book. And that's when I wrote Glynis Has Your Number. So that book was written in the 90s. And I wrote it because I could see this as a tool to help people. Well, since then, that book was picked up, and then from a major publishing house, they wanted me to add 100 pages. So I added 100 pages to it. So it became Glynis Has Your Number, the ultimate edition. And then Love by the Numbers happened, because in my relationship, I picked my husband by the numbers, and I wanted to share, how do you do this? How do you find healthy love by the numbers? So
could you give me some advice about that? How would I pick up?
Of course. Here's what I would say about you right off the bat. Since you are an 8, the line would be 2, 4, 6, 8 are numbers that you appreciate. So those numbers resonate with you. 2, 4, 6, and 8. So everyone has numbers that are compatible or a challenge. And I teach that. So in the books, Glynis Has Your Number, Love by the Numbers, I show you exactly how to do it. I show you the positive and negative so that you know what you're up against. But there's one other thing I do. If you're single, I'm obsessed with you getting it right from the start. Just pick the right person, pick good energy. But if you're married, how can you heal it? Is there a way to make it better? I've had marriages be healed by the tools I gave, and I've had people get divorced because they realized we should not be together, but they could see it clearly. Instead of, because you know what I teach, Alan? I teach people not to blame each other. Oh, you've got a bad attitude, or you're being rude. And then when you look at the numbers, you're like, oh my gosh, you're just being a 7. Oh, you're being a 4. Oh, you're being a 3. They can see it and they don't take it personally anymore. That's a beautiful thing. That makes a big difference.
So as far as now, okay, people should pay attention. 2024 doesn't matter. It's the year of the wood dragon. Do you take that into account?
I'm well aware that it's the year of the dragon, but no, when I do my research, there are people who pull it all together, right? Astrology, numerology, the dragon. What I feel blessed in what I do, when numerology and the Pythagorean number system came into my life, and I studied for 13 years, I saw a tool that I knew could make people's lives happy. So then I became an expert in this field. And when I say I do it every single day, you will not catch me not doing my job. I'm always researching. I run numbers. I see what's going on. Again, my gift is to know, is it true or not true, right? So I do that. And I will tell you a funny thing about the presidency. I've always been able, let's go back 28 years. Let's go back to Reagan, when Reagan came along, because I was very young when that happened. But I remember learning numerology and suddenly looking and going, oh, that guy's a 2. Now, let me tell you, Alan, the number 2 is a number people end up enjoying. Like, it's a peacemaker. They don't really want conflict. They can do it, but they don't want it. Reagan has that. Clinton has that. Obama had that. See, Biden has that. And I'm going to say something funny. We are living in such a divided country. Everyone's just, you're either with me or against me. However, what if they go to Google and just research what has Biden passed in a bipartisan fashion? Because what does bipartisan mean? It means you're willing to cross over and talk to a guy who doesn't agree with you on everything to get something passed. They say Biden's done more than that. And what is it, 50 years? They go back in time with a president who last was that successful. So again, with all the chatter, you won't necessarily see that. You won't necessarily know what the president's done. But because I do numbers, I look at that too. And I go, how is that guy trying to work? Bill Clinton was legendary at working with Republicans, right? So, and Reagan, talk about charming. He had his jelly beans on the desk when you come in, he'd give you jelly beans. That's a very 2 thing to do. So yeah, I look at those patterns as well.
Well, do you see anyone out there that might be a really good leader that's not maybe running for office? Who looks good?
You know what? This is what I would say. Until they put themselves in the light, there'd be no reason. Because what am I going to do? Make a phone call? You'd be great. I will tell you a funny thing about Nikki Haley and Trump.
Yes.
When it comes to Trump, I have always said this. He's actually on a cycle of 1, which is to find a way to win. I mean, he's definitely wanting to win. When you're out for number 1, though, you might not consider what you say. And I've always said this about him. The one who gets him in trouble is himself. It's not what someone else says. We've already, what do they call it? Teflon Don. He knows how to stop the other people. He can shut anyone down, but it's what he says. And if you listen, we live in a world of video. We live in a world of audio. So that is what he has to watch for. Like, that's what he should focus on. The reason Nikki still exists, she has the 2 and the 4. So she is using a lot of her intuition on how to stay in this race. You see, she's still there. No one else is. When Nikki started, she had 1 percentage point, 2 percentage point. But that's what I do. I like and go, how is she still here? And by the way, way back when she was at 1 percentage point, I watched the debate. I ran the numbers and said, oh, look at her. She's got numbers that actually know how to lead. In South Carolina, a lot of people are going to vote for Trump, but they said she was good as governor. So they're not denying that she has ability, but many of them have picked a candidate. So that's what I look at. I look at, say, what are you capable of? And I'll tell you my surprise out of all of them. Ron DeSantis. Yeah. Ron DeSantis surprised me for one reason. He's got double 3 energy in his birthday. I would tell you, 3s are known for their eyes, their smile, their voice. His smile, he had the hardest time just smiling. Like when he'd smile, it was almost crooked. He'd be like, you know, when you can't do it, you're like, that was shocking, because I'm telling you, the most natural thing a 3 does is smile. So something was blocking him, right? And remember, this guy won, wasn't it by 15 percentage points in Florida? He clearly knows how to work a room. He certainly knew how to win over Florida, but on that world stage, he got blocked. And I didn't run his destiny number. Maybe that's where it is, but something stopped him from being what he can be. And that was interesting. That was
So you
interesting.
would you advise people to change, you can't change your birthday, but you can change your name to change your
Yes.
energy? Do
Yes,
you
I'm
advise?
huge on that.
Oh,
Here's an example. If you're going to get married, is it a good idea to take on that name, or what if it hurts the relationship? You know, when couples get divorced, the guy will say, Glynis, when I married her, she completely changed. Well, what changed were those three numbers in her name. And those
oh,
numbers went from being compatible to a challenge. But I've had
oh,
people again heal the relationship by figuring that out. You know, when you hear about couples who got remarried,
yeah.
name played a role in it, but also the year. You can be in a bad cycle, Alan. You could be in a cycle, let's say a cycle of 5, and your husband's in a cycle of 8, and all you do is fight. You fight the whole year.
Mm,
You're like, I'm done with him. I can't stand him. But the next year, you're in a cycle of 6. He's in a cycle of 9, and that's pleasant. And you're like,
mm.
what happened to us? Like, why was it crazy? But if you get a heads up and you understand it's all vibration, you won't fall into those traps.
So you would advise someone with like, what number name would not be a good vibration? Like, how would,
Well, that's just it. Remember how I said this year is good for you? Like a lot is good. This year's not
yeah,
ideal for everyone. It's all
uh,
different. You know, we all have different numerology blueprints. Now, if you said to me, Glynis, if someone had exactly my blueprint,
mhm,
would they also be feeling excited about this year? My answer would be yes. I'd be
mm,
really surprised if someone with your chart was not feeling excited,
right,
especially there's only one reason they wouldn't be happy if they weren't on track. The fact that you're
right.
writing a book, you're on track, Ellen. You're doing
I,
exactly what you're supposed to do this year. That
I,
always makes us feel good, doesn't it?
yes, no, I'm very happy about,
Yeah.
this year and with the possibilities. So you talk
Yeah.
about soulmates, not just partners, but
Oh
meet.
no,
How would
soulmates.
you know what if you've met a soulmate or that person's your soulmate, let's say?
Okay.
How would you,
Here's
yeah.
how it works. When you do the formula, the 6 numbers, if you have one, well, it goes like this. If you have 3 numbers out of 6, it's a soulmate connection, because that just means you really have this powerful connection in numerology. And what it really means is good or bad, when it's over, it's never really over. So, like even me, I've been with my husband 21 years and he's my everything. But I still have an ex who will call on occasion drunk and say, hey, where do we stand? And I just laugh. I'm like, 21 years ago, you're still wondering, where do we stand?
Mhm.
Because we had a soulmate connection. So that soulmate means you don't forget those people. But there's two types. It's either, yay, lucky me, I have a soulmate and I love him, or I will never go through that again. My soul had to learn from them, but I will never put me through that again. And that's why
Mm.
you want to know who's who in your life.
Right. So this is such an amazing science, and you're saying you could teach this to other people, but is it, but you're also very intuitive, right? So it's not just
So I would
numbers.
say this is what I say about that. You can pick up the books. Trust me. I mean, I have people say, Glynis, one gal made me laugh. She wrote me, said, Glynis, I had to go to a wedding because I picked up your book and I was in the room. We were all getting ready and I was running numbers and they were all freaking out. And she goes like this, I was so amazing. I was so accurate. And then she laughed. She goes, I'm kidding. Your book was so amazing. It was so accurate. She goes, but it made me look good. So it's true. You can pick up the books and start to learn. But the level of conciseness, the level of knowing, that takes time. I always tell people, give yourself 10 years to become, well, first of all, it takes 10 years to become an expert. Give yourself that time. Don't read
Mhm.
a couple books and just because your friends are dazzled, don't say
Right.
you're suddenly a numerologist. It
Mm.
it takes time. But
But
but you can certainly use it right away to help with your family, with your
mhm.
friendships, and with business right away, as quickly as you can get these books. Yeah.
Well, what's so interesting about you? Numerology has been around for thousands of years, probably the Kabbalah, all that. But you said you've discovered new things within numerology. Talk about your discoveries. That's really interesting for me.
Well, I just learned things that people didn't talk about, like you didn't see them in books. And you know what people don't know about Pythagoras? He had followers, right? These followers are the ones who wrote his books. There is no book written by Pythagoras in numerology. And I find that fascinating, right? Because what it means is we are all students, right? We're all learning. But for me, I just found out specific things about various people, that I could see that was not brought up. Well, if I were to say to you, example, a 7, I would talk about the love of water, meaning they need to get near water. If I meet a healthy 7, they're often a scuba diver, or there's someone who lives in that jacuzzi. It has a calming effect on them, or someone who drives to the beach, because when they're troubled, they need an answer, and it comes through them when they're by the water. If I meet a 7 that doesn't, like one gal, she's like, I don't like the water. I can't swim. I go, what happened? What was your trauma? She goes, well, my dad threw me in the pool when I was little and said, go ahead and swim. Well, that's a horrible thing to do to a 7 because they get so much energy from it. So the other thing is there are packs of numbers. 157, what do they have to be careful of? Not to escape through drugs, alcohol, geography. They can do that. And so what I did is lay it out in a way, like people will say, Glynis, your book, you just simplified it in a way I understand. I read other books, I couldn't quite get what they were saying. So that's what I mean, Alan. I gave them specifics that were not in the other books.
Wow, that is a great accomplishment. Thank you. And you're right, my 2 really loves that. But
Thank you. Of course,
but
these days, a lot of people are rewriting what I say, as you can imagine, because when you've been around 1995, you got a lot of up and comers. But guess what? I still have unique breakthroughs daily, Alan. I'll notice something and go, no one else said that. So it's exciting. That's what makes it so alive. Same with your passion. Aren't you passionate about this every day? If something else happens,
every
right?
day.
You're never not excited. Yeah.
Right.
You're always looking
Especially
for
at
a
this
new breakthrough.
time where breakthroughs are happening, not just from me, but from the government, from insiders, from scientists, from experiencers. It's an field, and it's going to keep going. But we're both going to be at the expo. Let me pull that up and tell people what you're going to be. Let me just hear. Is that show up on your screen there?
I see it. Yes.
Okay, there.
All right. So here's what I'm going to be doing. 2 things. One, I'm going to be on George Noory's panel, and that's going to be on Saturday at noon.
Yes.
So I'll be on his panel for a couple hours, and I really don't know what he plans on asking. I'm sure he's got a lot of stuff up his sleeve. If you scroll down, I did see me a second ago.
Yeah. Oh, here's the panel.
Yeah. And so, so I'll be a part of this wonderful panel. I think he's going to throw questions at us, and maybe he'll have one major question and ask each expert. But no matter what, it's going to be fascinating. And because so many people have heard me through the years with George, this is a wonderful opportunity for you to see us together. I am excited about that. But the next day is a big day for me. I am doing a show, and it's called There's No Such Thing as a Stranger When You've Got Their Number. So there's no such thing as a stranger when you've got their number. You should be able to find me up there.
Find you somewhere and click on your show. So this is a workshop type of thing that you're doing?
It's a big deal. I'm teaching numbers. Yeah, Alan, I'm going to be teaching. There I am. Okay, so here's how it's going to go. Because we've got 90 minutes, this is going to be so powerfully psychic and healing is what I want to say. It's from 12 to 1:30. I'm going to have a worksheet for everybody. We're going to work on the life path number. We're going to work on the day you're born, and we're going to work on your attitude number. These all come from your birthday. And then what I do, Alan, is I bring these numbers to life because I use the audience as real examples in real time. So just look, you and I read you today. Did you see what I mean about the accuracy? We've never talked.
Exactly. You're good. No, I could tell you're very practiced and learned, and you just somehow you found a map for people's characters.
That the numbers literally talk to me. And so in this class, what I'll do is have all the 1s get up, and I'll define all the 2s get up, all the 3s. And what happens, Alan, is people become friends. Like you instantly feel this rapport in the room. You're like, oh my gosh, you're a 3 like me, or you're a 5 like me. And these wonderful conversations happen. And I've had people take my workshops that are still buddies, and they became friends at the workshop. So this is about who is compatible to you, who is a challenge. Because what I noticed, especially because of that pandemic, Alan, people need friends. You know, we lost each other. People got very lonely. So this class is about connecting, a profound connection, and me proving there's no such thing as a stranger when I've got your number. There just isn't.
That's February 11th at the LAX Hilton here in Los Angeles. And And it's going, and are you speaking any other time or just on the
No, no,
11th?
it's my big show. And then of course, I'm going to be doing book signings. So I'll be
Okay.
there signing my books, giving them a chance to chat with me that way as well on both Saturday and Sunday. So yeah,
So there's
that's
still tickets left for Glynis's workshop and for the
yes.
expo in general. And
Yes.
go to consciouslifeexpo.com or just show up at the LAX Hilton. And besides Glynis, there's going to be some incredible people, including Bashar. Do you know who Bashar is?
Yes, yes. I love that he's related to Paul Anka, correct?
Yes, he is. He's cousins of Paul. Darryl
I
Anka
love
is
that.
cousins to Paul Anka. Yes.
Yes, yes. And I know about him. And of course, Deborah King, Linda Moulton Howe, a lot of people I really like and admire their talent. So I think I've been pushing this. I've been saying, come on out, man. Spend the weekend and get to know some people, learn some information you don't know. Because I think there's going to be tremendous amounts of tools at this event.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about this event. Let me see. I'm over here somewhere
Dude,
myself.
I know I saw your cute picture. Where are you? There you are,
There I
Alan.
am.
You're next to the
And I'm
blog.
going to be hosting. I'm
Yeah.
doing a lot of introductions and I
No,
will
but
be.
Alan, that picture showed the Michael Bolton thing that you have in your face.
Yes.
Yes, which
Yeah.
my sister and I both agreed on today.
Oh,
Yeah.
good, good, good. Well, I just want to say I'm hosting the AI panel. I'm sure you have something to say about
Oh,
that. It's all
well, I
zeros
got
and
to tell you, I'm extremely upset about it. I'm going to
oh,
speak the truth.
tell me.
But here's
In what
why
way?
I'm upset. Because it's messing with creativity. There are people who are real comfortable taking other people's stuff. And when you have AI who can whip it up, right? You give them keywords, next thing you know, you have a book, but you didn't do the research. You didn't
Right.
have the knowledge. So I find that I think AI can obviously benefit us in many ways, but I want some structure there. Like I want Congress to jump in and say, you cannot do that. If that information is not yours, if you're taking from another author or another creative talent, you cannot do that. Just like SAG, when they did that big strike, they were fighting for their image. It's like, you can't just duplicate my face and voice and not pay me, right, for my gift. It's like washing us out. And when that whole thing came out, when they're like, look, we're afraid it's the end of mankind, or, AI could destroy us. I'm not going to that level because I think no matter what, we're in control. The AI did not build itself. It didn't. We came
Well,
up with it.
that's
There
true.
were intelligence behind it. And you know what I believe, Alan? Even when it comes to, oh, you get hacked, but we have the perfect software. I often think the one with the software is the hacker. They figured out a way to hack now. Tell you what I'm going to do. Kid, you look like you're in trouble. Buy my software. So we've got to work on that. And guess what? This year of 8 is about that. Meaning I think we could get bipartisan support to protect creative people.
Yeah. Well, tell me though, as you look into the future, is there a year? I mean, especially in terms of UFOs, that's going to be a big change this year. But what's coming up in the future that you
Well,
can?
let me tell you what was interesting. The year of 7 was last year, and I had said it's the year of the environment, but I also said UFOs would play a role in it. Why?
Yes.
You know why? The 7, when you made a 7 life path, I always make the joke, if a spaceship came, they'd hop on it and say, I knew I didn't belong here. Like the 7 has a way about them that's almost like an alien. They're like, they can barely handle people. They enjoy them for a little bit, and then like, I need to be alone now. I don't want to deal with anybody. So it happened. I mean, we have major stories come through last year, correct?
Yes, we
Wasn't
did.
that
Yeah,
a turning
absolutely.
point? It was huge.
We had whistleblowers. We had people inside the government.
That's right. And so
yeah.
here's what I would tell you. There's more. Like, I believe there's a lot more that I think they had no choice but to say, like, fill us in, because it was going to be revealed anyway. So I think you're going to see a lot more of that this year, because the 8 energy is blunt, it's in your face, and it's honest. So you're going to see even more of it. And that's all I can say is, like, it's going to get to the point where people can't deny it. Meaning the average person out there finally goes, yeah, of course there's UFOs. Of course there's other lives. So why would it only be planet Earth? That's ridiculous, right? So that's what you're going to see. So this will be a great time for you, because you're a researcher. This is your place. This is your passion. There'll be plenty for you to see. Yeah.
Okay, and one more next year, 2025, after is a 9. And what are
Yeah.
9s known
But
for?
let me tell you, I always say this about this year. This year's huge. Like
Yeah.
when people want to jump to it next year, I'm like, guys, we have to get through this year first. When I talk about the shifts that could take place, this is big. Like what you see right now, what you think you know right now is not what you know by year's end. So be
Wow.
aware of this cycle of 8. That's how big it is. Next year, cycle of 9 always represents, well, it represents humanity. So it means we have to come together. I love that. But it also means clearing space for new beginnings. So the question is, what does that mean this year? You know, what with the wars that are happening, right? We got Israel, we got Ukraine, Russia, all of that. Someone had asked me, oh, do you think they'll end those wars right now? I said, no, not in the cycle of 8. And I say that, Alan, because the 8 goes round and round. That means 1 minute you think someone had an opinion, and the next minute they changed it completely. And you're like, what just happened? That's this cycle of 8. So someone like you, since you're an 8 life path, you have an ability to calm the water. You can calm it all down and say, it's not going to be crazy. I'm going to get to the bottom line. And when I get there, I'll reveal it to you. See how you can calm it down? That's what we have to do. That's what we must do in this year.
Right. No, this is so good. And your tools and work is so valuable because how would it be if everyone knew what you knew? How would the world look if everyone had the science you understand?
I can honestly tell you, if they did numbers the way I do, to look at the compassion, understand, we'd be much nicer. We would be a kinder nation, because what we know is hate and anger is a low frequency. Kindness and caring about each other is a high frequency. And if we're all vibration, that means if you find yourself angry every day defending a position, you're exhausted. You're not your higher self. So the reason I'm called to this, Alan, and I touch so many lives, my goal is to help us feel better. I want to get us happy. I don't want us to get sick. We internalize, some numbers more than others. Instead of communicating, they keep it all inside, and then they can get sick. And that's what we work on, right? And me personally, I've got the 2, and I'm very sensitive. I have to be aware of that. It's like, get that out of your body. Don't stuff it down, because that's not healthy either. So the more we evolve, if you said to me, Glynis, do you foresee a good future? Yes, I do. Oh, yes, I do. But it's going to take some time. And this year is a big one to watch. This is grab your bag of popcorn. Lots going to happen. And then you and I have to talk again. We do.
Well, we will. I'll see you at the expo for sure.
Yes.
And good luck. I mean, people will love you. Go to Glynis's workshop on the 11th. That's Sunday. Come to the expo, which is just a fantastic gathering. That's why I like the expo, for the community that gathers.
Yes. And what I agree with, remember I said you're in a cycle of 4 to learn. That means right now you're a very eager student. So even though here you are writing, and you're going to write stuff people don't even know about, right? You're going to educate, but you're the first to go, if I had a breakthrough at this event and someone tells me something else to add to the book, I'll do it. So that's so you're very alive. And that's what I want to say about you, even though when I say numbers, like some people will say, oh, when's your birthday? And I'm like, August 12th. What year? I'm like, every year. My birthday's that every year. I don't believe in that. I think you could be 40 and look old and seem old because you have no passion. The people I find, no matter what age, when they're alive and passionate, I don't see an age. I actually see their numbers. Like, to me, you're an 8. You're an 8 born on 4-day. I see your little kid. It's your little kid. You know what people don't know? It's our child that is the writer. It's our child that's a teacher, not the adult. The adult is limited. That might be the business side of us, but the creative side is the child within that brings joy to the world. No question.
Well, if I see you, I'll give you a copy of my book at the expo.
I'd love that. Yes.
And your book again is called?
Glynis has your number.
You have a copy? No.
Say it again.
You have a copy to hold up?
Oh, that's so funny. No, I don't. Not in front of me. It's funny. I just had to weigh that book. But if you seem like you're pretty savvy on computer. Can you go to my website? It shows
what is your number?
It's on the cover. It's numberslady.com. And on that homepage, you'll see Love by the Numbers and Glynis has your number. Those two books, they're on that homepage. Numberslady.com.
Let me see if it comes up. Numbersladies.com. I don't know. What does it say? Says, I don't know why it's not showing up right away.
You may have misspelled NUMBERSLADY.com. Numberslady.com.
Numberslady. Okay, I see you now. Okay.
So
let me.
You can share the homepage, they'll see it.
And let me just, here we go. Okay, you see it?
Yes, so there's, Glynis has your number. And then scroll down a little and you'll see Love by the Numbers right below. See that? There they are.
Yes.
Those books. Again, people say, well, which one should I start with? What's great is they're standalone books. So you don't have to have both. You can start with one, but it will educate you about your life and the people in your life. It's just a great
And you
tool.
could start to do some number stuff, right?
Right away. As quick as it's in your hands, you're going to be able to do your own chart. No question.
Oh, and you do individual consultations, right?
Yeah, yes, I do. I do live reads. And by the way, Alan, what I will do for your audience, I'm going to type Alan, just write this down as a promo code. So they can, if they want to learn their numerology report, it's just laying out those numbers with my definitions. If they type Alan, they'll get a discount. Those are the reports.
So I'll put that in the chat for the live chat. What do you want me to say?
Yeah, just Alan. It's the promo code for numberslady.com. And it's just, see how it says individual readings, numerology chart, and then are we soulmates? Those reports will be at a discount because of you. They'll type Alan and get a discount. And they're not expensive anymore.
Great. Well, I'm going to do that in the chat. And perfect. Thank you, Mrs. Numbers Lady. I appreciate it. And great to talk to you. Thanks so much. It was actually, when you were reading my numbers, it was a nice confirmation of everything.
Oh, and the final one that we didn't do, are you saying your middle name is Michael?
Yes.
So let's just see your destiny before we log off here.
Yes, let's see that.
All right, let's see what that would be.
So each letter has a number, and then you add up the numbers.
That is correct. And it's Steinfeld. I love your last name.
You like Steinfeld? That's Steinfeld.
Yeah, I do. I think it's a cool
better
name.
than Seinfeld without the T.
Well, you should make a joke and say, look, I'm Jerry's brother, but I can't take the attention. So I had to alter my name. Why not? Okay.
But my numerologist said it was okay, I could say.
Yeah, she said it's all right to hide out. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
It's a 2. So what did I tell you about your intuition? So that means you're an 8 life path. 2 destiny means destiny even have more love, peace, harmony. When you're hanging out with good people, like I said, if it's good music, it's a nice meal, and they're smart, and you're enjoying each other, that is such a happy time for you, and it's your destiny, meaning you are called to have as much of that as you can.
Yes.
But are you ready? Now you have a maturity number, which we did not have. So your life path is an 8. Destiny number 2, 8 plus 2 is 10, 1 plus 0 is 1. You know what 1 means when you have a 1 maturity? Striving to be the best of what you do. So you do have that in you. That tells me when you do a good job, the minute you're done, you're like, okay, but what's next? What else do I need to do? What else do I need? So you have to learn to stop and go, no, I did good. I'm going to acknowledge that before I move on. But with a 1 maturity, it means you become a go-to person. Like I'm sure you've built that up where people do trust you. They trust that you know what you're talking about. But the 1 maturity means you were destined to be even better as you got older. That's what maturity number means. It wasn't going to be young. It wasn't going to be young kids.
So the middle name added the maturity number? Is that what the middle name did?
It's called the maturity number. No, When I took your middle name, I got your destiny number. Your destiny number comes from the full birth certificate name. So Alan Michael Steinfeld is a 2. But then by having that 2 destiny, I added it to your life path to get the maturity number.
Oh.
And 8 plus 2 is 10, 1 plus 0 is 1. So you have a 1 maturity number. You see how this is an onion with all the layers? There's a lot to be had here.
So you think it's better off? Should I use the middle name or doesn't matter? I mean,
No, are you kidding? Wait a sec.
no.
You've got, it's okay. Let me tell you why it's all right with what you have.
Okay.
But you're right. The 2 is great. But in your books, you always put Alan Steinfeld. How many books have you written?
Two books.
You've written 2 books. Because it would be up to you. Like I use Glynis Kathleen McCants in one of my books, and it was good for me to do that. But I also use Glynis McCants. So if you wanted to shift it, you already know what it means. It means,
well, what does it mean to
well, it
shift
means
it?
business with a heart. Business with a heart. It means it's not just, some people do work because they just want the cash, right? They want the money. You're not that guy. You're like,
right.
I do what I'm here to meant to do. The money will follow. The money will follow because I'm doing what I'm here to do. See the difference?
So if I use it, you're saying there's more heart in the using more.
Well, let me explain. 2, 4, 8 are considered business-minded numbers. 4 and 8 are just business, and you already have that. You have the 4, 8. The 2 does business with their hearts. So that means you need to feel you believe in something before you would sell it. You wouldn't give something to someone just because. You'd have to feel they benefit from it. But the reason I like the name you're going by right now, the 3-2-5 means never a dull moment. You already have a 2 personalities, so it's still a part of your destiny. It's not gone. And I like your humor. That soul number 3 means you know how to communicate with people. So that's why it's good. It's fine.
All right. Thank you. Yes, we'll do more. I'll see you at the expo for sure. Okay. I recommend an incredible life reading with Glynis. If you're watching this, go to thenumberslady.com. Come to the expo to see me and Glynis and hundreds of other people and great teachers, and just to meet the community. If you're somewhere in Los Angeles, come to the LAX Airport Hotel. It's at the airport, Hilton, and join us this weekend coming up. I'll be there with JJ and Desiree Hurtak and a bunch of really amazing people. And Glynis, of course, and take her workshop. And all right, thanks, Glynis. I appreciate.
Thank you very much.
I really do appreciate. Just if we were having a private conversation, that was just a great reading. So
yes. Thanks. Well, no, it was great. It was great reading you. But going back to your name, we're off air, right? We're off.
No, not yet. I'll stop.
We're still on? You are
still on. I want to say thank everyone for watching right now. Live chat, subscribe, and take out a super chat. And